Please note the views and experiences shared on this podcast are personal and not intended as medical advice. Always consult with healthcare professionals for guidance specific to your situation.
Welcome to the Premipod, the podcast dedicated to sharing the powerful, inspiring, and often emotional stories of families and healthcare professionals navigating the world of premature birth.
Whether you're a parent, a healthcare worker, or just someone looking to understand the journey, we're here to offer support and insight, one episode at a time.
So tune in as we dive into real experiences and explore the strength of the neonatal community. We're your hosts, Kirsty, Dimitty, and Meg.
Welcome to the Premipod.
Hello.
Hello.
First ever episode on Valentine's Day.
Oh,
How
this is very
lovely.
exciting.
How sweet. All right, so I'm Kirsty.
I'm Meg.
And I'm Dimitty.
Lovely. So we're just going to introduce ourselves today and get you girls to get to know us and stuff. So we'll start with Meg.
Oh. It's like, I'm nervous.
She's like,
more about you, who you are, why you wanted to be a nurse, what brought you here.
Yeah, so I never really wanted to be a nurse. I wanted to be a teacher.
You know what? That would really suit you, Meg. Really suit you.
Oh,
a nice primary school teacher.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to do prep or grade 1 or something like that.
I could totally see that. Wouldn't you, Dim?
Yeah, oh my God, your kids would just be talking all the time.
I feel like I would have been very fun. But I ended up becoming a nurse. So I did biology at school and pretty much up until the point where we did a reproductive lesson, all we learned about was plants. So I wasn't really
cellular
into
biology, the mitochondria, powerhouse of the cell.
But no, we ended up doing a reproductive subject in biology, and we learned all about, how babies come about and what developmental milestones are met at every time in the gestation. So, what happens at 22 weeks, what happens at 24 weeks, what happens at 30 weeks. So that was really interesting.
So interesting.
Yeah,
hey?
I loved it. I really, really loved it. And I thought that, if I'm really enjoying learning something at school, maybe I should continue that when I'm at university. So I started looking into healthcare disciplines and I thought I'll try nursing. I was lucky enough to receive a little placement through school. So it was just 2 days of school. Yeah.
See, I didn't get that in school. That wasn't even offered.
Yeah.
And
really
what, did you go to a hospital and just trial it all out?
Yeah, so I went to a hospital and I just kind of followed around nurse all day, kind of like what we would do in our clinical placements, except I just didn't do anything.
Yep.
I just chatted to the patients. It was really great and I really enjoyed it. So after that placement, I decided, I'm going to become a nurse.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
I love that opportunity as well because I swear in mine it was admin or, there wasn't really anything.
You knew what you were going to do and you just went straight to that after school into uni.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's really cool.
Yeah.
And so you did the 3-year nursing degree.
So I did the 3-year nursing degree, yes.
Yep.
So I did that and during that time I didn't really know what type of nurse I wanted to be. I still wanted to work with kids, so I thought that I wanted to be a pediatric nurse.
Yep. Also would suit you a lot, by the way. Also would suit you heaps.
But anyways, I met a girl called Dimitty.
Oh, hello. This girl.
In a pew one day, which is kind of like a clinical classroom. And in that pew, she pretty much asked me, so what do you want to do when you finish all of this?
Dimitty's nosy. She's like, who do I have to compete with?
Literally.
And she was like, peds. And I was like,
okay, good.
Yep. And then I said to Dimitty, so what do you want to do? And she said she wanted to do NICU. And I hadn't really ever heard of NICU before speaking with Dimitty. I always knew that premature babies were a thing, but I never really realised that there was a place in the hospital for them.
And did you have any experiences with premature kids at all, growing up?
Because I know I didn't. Now,
Yeah.
I think when you're a child, you're just like, oh, this is happening and this is happening. But did you have any people in your life that were premature or?
Yeah, I actually did. I have a funny story. So when I was younger, my mum's best friend, she had a premature baby.
Yeah.
And when he was about 3 years younger than me, and when he went home, he had like a G-tube, which means that he was getting fed through his belly button.
Yeah.
And when I was younger, I used to go around and feed all of my baby dolls through their belly
Stop
button.
it.
I would put the
Stop
bottle
it.
up to their belly
Yeah,
button
yeah.
and feed them.
Oh.
And for me, that was normal. I didn't have any siblings yet. And that was the only experience I'd ever had of seeing a baby be
And I guess
fed.
you wouldn't have even known that that wasn't the right thing to do.
Yeah.
You were
Yes.
just thinking,
You haven't seen
that's
any
the
other
normal
kid
thing to
being
do.
fed.
Like,
Yeah.
yeah.
So, yeah, really, really crazy. So, yeah, I used to do it in front of family members, in front of when I would take my little baby dolls to the shops. And I'm sure we got a lot of stares,
Like,
but it was just because that's the only thing that I knew. So,
We're going to have to take it to the
Yeah.
psychologist.
Yeah.
yeah, so that was like my experience with preemie babies.
Yep.
Yeah, so very cool.
Yeah, very cool. And so
Yeah.
then how did you actually get into NICU? So you said
Yeah.
that you wanted to do peds. So then how did you flick over into NICU?
Yeah, so then I met another person who kind of brought me back to this NICU world, who was you.
Oh, is that me?
Kirsty. I worked with
I'm so
Kirsty.
inspirational.
Yes.
Stop it. Look at us, both of us, just creating your career.
I know, it's crazy that I'm on a podcast with the two people who kind of inspired me to become a NICU nurse.
Who you are.
Yeah,
wild.
literally.
Yeah.
So Kirsty, we were working together in ortho, and you were actually leaving to go and pursue a career in
yeah.
NICU. And I thought, oh, here's another person doing this NICU. Like, this
It's
sounds
like
really
now
cool.
come up twice in your life and you're
Yep.
like, maybe this is
Maybe
where
this
I'm
is a
supposed to
key.
be as well.
Exactly.
Yep.
And then so I actually had a meeting with the clinical placement coordinator, and I told her, I want a job in pediatrics after. I still was thinking pediatrics at this point as well. And I said, can I get a placement in pediatrics? And she said to me, yeah, that's fine. It's pretty competitive. Would you want to express an interest in the special care nursery?
Yeah,
and I
right.
said, oh, special care nursery, what's that? And she said, it's like, have you ever heard of NICU? Have you ever heard? It's the step down for that. And I thought, oh my gosh, that's great. Yeah, I'm definitely interested. So I submitted an expression of interest and I went off to my placement.
That's so good. And so how long was your placement for?
My placement was for 8 weeks.
Wow.
Yeah.
So it was like your last
It was
placement.
my last ever placement, yeah.
Wow. I
So-
didn't realize it was that long. That's
Yeah.
crazy.
It was great.
Yeah.
And honestly, after the first couple of days there, I loved it.
You were
Yeah.
like hooked.
You're
Yeah.
like,
I
this
was
is what
hooked.
I want to do.
Yeah.
Yep.
I had a really great experience. I got to go to a birth with a nurse and a nurse practitioner.
Yep.
And when we went to that birth, the mum was put under a general anaesthetic. And with the general anaesthetic, what happens is the mum kind of goes to sleep. And
So
that
normally the mum would be put under
A spinal.
a spinal. So the
Yeah.
mum would be awake,
Yep.
knowing what's going to happen,
Yep.
and we could talk to her.
Yep.
But this mum was put fully to sleep.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. And sometimes what can happen with the general anaesthetic is it crosses the placenta and can kind of put the baby to sleep. And sometimes they just need a little bit of help with breathing when they come out. So I watched this nurse and nurse practitioner help this baby breathe. So, and then I watched this baby take its first breath and its first cry. And I just remember feeling so
cute.
inspired.
Yeah.
Yep.
I felt like this is exactly what I want to do.
Yep.
I want to be just like this nurse one day. So,
That's so nice. And that's such a good first birth to
Yeah.
go to. Like
Your
where you
adrenaline
needed to
was
do a little
rushing.
bit.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like you needed to do something, but you knew that it wasn't too serious
Yeah.
because you knew why the baby was the way it was. So
yeah.
that's excellent.
It was
And on
amazing.
placement too. That's fantastic
so
that they
good.
even gave you that opportunity. That's
It was
lovely.
It was amazing. I am so grateful for that opportunity because it's brought me to here and
Yep.
it's turned me into the nurse that I am today.
And we are so happy to have you in NICU with us. Oh
Oh,
my
yes.
God.
You know,
I just
like,
couldn't pitch you anywhere else, honestly.
thank you. I feel like I don't know if I believe in like destiny or fate,
I don't
and things
know.
like that.
After hearing your story, maybe.
but I do believe that a lot of things happened in my life to lead me on this path. And I feel like I've ended up exactly where I'm supposed to be.
Yeah.
That's so good, Meg.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
So yeah, that's my story. That's how I ended up here.
And then like what's your favourite most like thing that you're interested in, NICU? Like what are you most passionate about?
I'm super passionate about family-centred care.
Yep.
I love working with the families and I love making their experience better.
Yep.
Yeah.
And you're so good at that.
Yeah, you are so good at it.
Really good at that.
it.
Always sending them photos, putting them in
text
cute
messages.
outfits, like
Yeah,
little messages,
yeah.
little notes for them. Like you really do go above and beyond.
Yeah.
Thank
Cuddles
you.
every day. Like
Yeah.
it's so good. Yeah.
Thank you guys.
How long have you been in NICU
So
far?
I began my NICU journey in special care. I worked in special care nursery for 2 years and now I've worked in NICU for 3 years.
Oh, cool.
That's
So,
excellent.
yeah, it's been great.
So 5 years all up in neonatal.
5
That's
years all up.
Excellent. That's so good.
Been the best
Meg.
5 years of my life.
With your best friends, Kirsty and
Yes.
Dimitty.
Yeah.
Definitely. Anyways, what about you, Miss Dim? How did you become a nurse or how did you become a NICU nurse?
So I think it's a bit of a different story. So probably a bit of a big story, but when I was younger, I was obsessed with babies. Like I would sit at the table and feed my babies fake bottles or fake food or, you know, the baby born
you're
food you
eating,
could get
they're
and you could
eating.
mix it
Yeah.
up and feed it to the babies. I would
Yep.
do that. I would force my brother to do it. I would force anyone that was
Yep.
in the room to do
Yep.
it. If anyone asked me how many babies I wanted when I was younger, I would say 100.
100. Oh my God, Dimitty.
Yeah.
Cost of living
How do you
now.
feel after having one baby if you do it?
Oh, not 100. No way. Yeah, so I've always loved babies since I can even remember. I actually even remember, do you remember Beanie Bears?
Yes.
I had these Beanie Bears and they were the twin ones. Do you
Yeah.
remember them?
Yes.
I would love them. I'd take them everywhere. I think I even took them to school. Anyways. So stemming on from that, I'm from a big family and my mum's last kids were twins. And I was probably about 5 years old at the time. Mum went into preterm labour. She had a big bleed and she got flown out to another hospital in another state.
Oh, wow.
When I was younger, I was also obsessed with my mum. Like, I didn't want to leave my mum. Like,
Who wouldn't be obsessed with your mum? I'm obsessed with your
I
mum
know.
She's the
now.
best.
Oh, my
Yeah.
God.
So I wouldn't leave mum's side. Like, I remember people just calling me Lala because, like, they would think, I don't want to bother anyone else. I just want to be with my mum and that's it.
That's-
like, send me to kindy, I'd climb the fence.
Yeah.
Did you actually?
Yeah.
Oh
yeah.
my gosh.
Anyway,
Get me
so
outta here.
back to mum and twins. So they were admitted at 29 weeks and this was 21 years ago. So 21 years ago, the healthcare for neonatal especially wasn't as advanced as it was today. So
Absolutely. Yeah.
the twins were really touch and go. They were on a ventilator, which we, in the adult world, we would call
Life support.
life support. Yeah. They were really, really sick. Mum said they were just over a pound
Wow.
and under a pound
Tiny.
each. Like they were tiny
Little
for 29
bobs.
weekers.
Yep.
And like I remember the unit, it was like a big unit. So it was I don't know if it was a square or a circle, but all I remember is like rows of cots there and rows of cots there. So it wasn't a single room like we've got now. It was a big room. So everyone could see what everyone was doing. I remember there was twin boys across from the twins as well. And I thought that was cool that they would do all the same things.
Yep.
So the twins, they were sick. We blessed them. They weren't supposed to walk, talk, really even survive their neonatal period.
Yep.
But here they are, 21 years old and healthy,
Doing
doing
great.
everything.
Yeah.
You would never even
Suspect it at all.
Yeah,
Wouldn't
no.
you?
When you told me that your siblings were premature babies, I didn't believe. I was
Yeah.
like, no, this is a
Yeah,
lie.
I know.
It's
Yeah.
crazy. Yeah, you honestly couldn't tell.
Yeah. There's even pictures of me like in the NICU,
Yeah.
like as a little girl,
oh.
like with my hands in the cot, and I'm like, oh my
See,
God.
that's so
like
special.
same with Meg.
Yes.
Like there's things
Yep.
in your life that you're like,
Absolutely.
yeah.
Yeah.
So at that time, I didn't know that's what I wanted to be, but that was a big part of my life.
Yep.
I stayed with mum at the hospital because I was so obsessed with her. All the other family went home. We would catch the bus every day to the hospital, do whatever we did at the hospital.
Yeah.
Go home, do it every day.
That's so good.
Yeah, so.
And what an experience for you, being in the NICU space that early, seeing everything, like having those memories. That's wild.
So is that what made you want to be a NICU nurse?
Yeah, I think so. So I've always wanted to be a nurse. I think it is. But when I was getting to the end of my placement, so I did the nursing science just as you did.
Yeah.
That went for 3 years. Towards the end of it, I had a good friend of ours. Her name's Sam. Shout out to Sam.
Shout out, Sam.
Sam was a really good friend of ours, and me and Mum actually went to her birth, and her birth went really quick. So like it was in the middle of the night. Like Sam wasn't sure if she was even in labour or not. We just made it to the hospital.
Oh my God.
We just we made it in there, and she had her baby. So just before that, I was thinking, maybe like I didn't know how to get into NICU. I thought maybe you had to be a midwife and you had to do it that way.
Yep.
But I went to the birth. It was so beautiful and everything, but it just wasn't what I wanted to do.
Yep.
So like there was something in me that was like, that was beautiful. That was amazing. But
you weren't inspired by it. Like you weren't like, this is what I want to do.
Yeah. Anyway, so I get to the end of my uni, and just like Meg, I found out that there was a placement. So the placement was 8 weeks as well, and I went to special care. Anyways,
so
it was so good. I wasn't actually with all the girls. I was with another group of girls. So we weren't like together, which sucked, but
it all worked out in the end.
Yeah, it all worked out in the end.
We're together now.
And so I got a job similar to Meg's as well. I got the 6 months special care, 6 months NICU. So after the placement and going on to the next year, we got a grad position, and that grad position is where we did the 6 months and 6 months.
And that's such a good foundation as well, starting in special care.
It was really good.
Knowing what's normal, how to recognise what's not normal, escalating, like it's all so important.
Also actually taking it back to my placement, I remembered that there was like heaps of nurses in particular that would come to special care and be like, do you want to come to a birth? Do you want to come do this? And, you know, it gets your adrenaline rushing, and you're like, oh my God, like that is the coolest thing ever. Like I remember walking into the room in the NICU, and the baby was like in an open system, and it just had like what I didn't know at the time, but like a ventilator. It had nitric oxide. It had pumps, like two teeth like pumps with all full. And I was like, oh my God, like
how do you even look after a baby like this?
Like where do you even start?
Attached to them.
So I think even like on my placement, I knew NICU is where I wanted to end up. So did my 6 months, went to NICU, and I was like, this is amazing. And then I applied for a job.
And
got
then
the job.
How long have you been here now?
So our grad year was in 2020. Ever since.
So good. That's brilliant.
I know.
And then what's your passion? What's your favourite thing about working in NICU?
I think just like Meg as well, the family-centred care. Like I do think that we have really good connections with the family. Like I don't know if it's from like my personal life where like I know what it's like. And I know like no matter what the admission is, even if it's something very simple, this is the worst day of these parents' lives, and like anything that we do for this parents or family will make their life a whole lot better. Like whether it's photos, it's making their sheets beautiful, it's like anything.
Positioning their baby really nicely, applying their CPAP really nicely.
They see that and they appreciate that.
And and all the care and like time that you take, they appreciate. Absolutely.
And you are amazing at family-centred care.
Really
I feel like you've taught me a lot.
And me. Yeah, you've taught us all so much.
I think it takes not just one person to build a good NICU. Like we are all very good, I think, at what we do, and it does make a big difference. Bring something.
Many hands build a house, but many hearts make a NICU.
Yes.
That's so cute. I love that.
I think other than like the family-centered care, I really love like the adrenaline rush of, you know, going to births or really sick or premature babies. Like I love being able to care and help with that sort of stuff.
And you know what? Even after working there for 6 years, there's still adrenaline. I swear.
100%.
Yes.
And it depends on like which ones you're going to, which ones, you know, okay, well, I've had a rocky experience with this one before.
Yeah.
Like you still get your heart beating, like even though you know what to do.
Yeah. And I've actually heard from some of the girls that are new in NICU, they're like, oh my God, like you guys did that really quickly, or you guys looked like you weren't stressed at all. Because I think in the time you're very focused and like we all know what each other is thinking. So it's very quiet and it looks like it's not stressed or anything.
We're just
but
working
really
well
we know
together.
like what's going on, what everyone's thinking, what they want. And I think that's amazing.
Like
to have
I
a
just
team
know
like that.
doing admissions with you guys, we don't even have to talk.
No.
We're literally just boom, boom, boom. Like we're just doing stuff.
I know.
All done in like 20 minutes. Like we are just,
The baby looks beautiful.
Yep.
The family's happy.
Yep. And I think that's the biggest difference. I think when you work with someone so much and like you just know what each other like to do.
And what they want. Yeah.
Yeah, that it's just so easy.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's so good.
Yeah, I
Both
think that's
of you.
it.
That's so
if I
lovely.
think of anything else, I'll let you guys know.
Yeah, and we can always like post it up on our Instagram and stuff like that too.
Actually,
Especially
Dimitty, if you've got some photos
Oh,
from
yeah.
when you
Yes,
were little
yes.
and in NICU, we should post them on the Instagram. So you guys keep an eye out for those.
Yes.
Yep.
I'll post them.
at
Sounds
the
good.
Premier Pod
Yes.
Yes.
on all platforms,
Yes.
guys. Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube. We're on every platform.
Yep.
Yeah.
The
So
Premier Pod.
cool.
Yes.
The Premier Pod.
Okay, enough of me. Kirsty, you're up.
Oh.
Tell us about
what do you want to know?
Tell us a bit about you
Okay.
and then what brought you into nursing and what made you want to do NICU.
Yep. Well, see, my story is like so different from you guys because I didn't have any contact with anything NICU at all. My whole childhood, nothing. Like even my university, I started out in a completely different degree. Like I started out in physiotherapy. So it was like really well into like my 20s where I like kind of like switched gear and like changed into nursing. So I actually wanted to be a midwife. Like that was my thing.
So before you did physio, you wanted to be a physio.
Yeah.
What made you change to do nursing or midwifery, I guess?
So it was interesting because like when I was growing up, I think I had always thought like I want to do nursing. I have no idea why. Like there was no like moment where I thought, oh, like she's a nurse. I want to be a nurse for whatever reason. I think maybe even just like my parents talking to me or something. Like I just thought nursing would be good. But then when I did school, like my marks were better than I thought that they were ever going to be.
Of course. I feel like you're the brains of this whole group. Like anyone needs to know anything, straight to Kirsty.
Accountant
Finance.
Kirsty.
Yes, accountant Kirsty.
Anything.
She is my personal accountant, everybody.
Yeah. She
Not
is
just a
like-
NICU nurse.
Yes.
But it wasn't like medicine good. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It was like OP5. So it was good, but it was back in the OP system. But it was good.
I was in
but
that
it
too,
was
actually.
like
Yeah, I was in that system as well.
so good. But it wasn't like I couldn't go into like medical school or something like that.
Yeah,
And it's
yeah.
not that I ever wanted to be a doctor, to be honest. I don't know why.
You're just really surprised with yourself.
I was surprised. And I remember like I grew up playing basketball and everything, and there was always like physios around for like the nationals teams and the state teams and stuff like that. And I actually got a little bit of like work experience through them, not through school or anything, just like approaching them and asking them if they would be okay if I could come. And I really enjoyed sports physio. So I thought, okay, well, I'll go and do physio. But it wasn't a passion.
Yeah.
It wasn't a passion.
Like you just knew it wasn't it.
Like I wasn't ever like, I want to do this
You didn't
forever.
feel fulfilled.
No. And so halfway through I dropped out and I was kind of like, you know, what do I do? Like maybe I should go back to nursing. And then they were offering the dual degree where you could do the nursing science and the midwifery together. And so I was like, okay, yeah, I'll do that. And I just remember all throughout uni, it was always the midwifery placements getting me through.
Yeah,
like I
that's
just
what you
remember
wanted.
always hating the nursing placements because, you know, it was always like placements that you didn't really feel passionate about. And so you were like,
you're like, I have to get this done.
Yeah,
I need to pass.
I have to do 2-4
Yeah.
weeks here or whatever.
Yeah.
And then it was always the midwifery ones that would just like get me through and like seeing the births and everything. So before I even came to NICU, I'd seen like so many births. Like I'd delivered at least 35 kids. Like,
I
you
think
know,
with the births too, like that's an adrenaline rush as well.
It
so
is.
maybe like you're
It's just the
chasing more of the
adrenaline.
adrenaline rush.
yeah, You're probably right, because I remember even like delivering prem babies and having the NICU teams there, like at the hospital I'm working at now. But at the time, it was always like, oh, thank God the NICU team's there. You know, like I don't have to worry about the baby, right? Because at that time I was always like about the mum. And but there was this one time where we delivered this, I think it was like this 28-weeker or something like that. And I just like being the primary like midwife, like delivering it, and just seeing like how small it was, and we put it in the plastic bag and like we handed it to the NICU team.
So the plastic bag, just to get people, just
thanks Tim, thanks Tim
Yeah.
clearing the air. If you don't know, so with I think it's anything under 32 weeks we do, isn't it? Anything under 32 are under 1.5 kilos expected.
Yes.
We like to keep them wet. We don't like to dry them off. We like to put them in an insulated bag so they start creating their own humidity for their skin, so they don't lose
because they're supposed to be in the womb, so we want
Yep.
to keep their skin.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. We want to prevent
as moist as possible.
we want to prevent something called insensible water loss.
Oh,
Stop
So
it, Meg,
you guys can go and Google that if you'd like.
Yeah. So I saw that and
Shit, I didn't know that she knew that.
Yeah. I'm like, smart.
wow, OP5 over here.
I wish.
So we put the baby in the bag and then we handed it to the NICU team, and I just remember that time just watching the NICU team like the whole time.
Yeah.
Like, and that just hasn't been the case previously. Like all the other
You had
prems-
sort of no idea that what they did, I guess, like because you've never
all.
needed them at any other birth previously.
Yeah.
You're like, okay.
Yeah. And obviously we did like neonatal resuscitation training and everything like that. And like I've done it on like a few term babies, but nothing on anything little, obviously, because we have the NICU team there. So I just remember watching them and just being so like,
Holy.
wow, like that's
And you probably
so
would have seen like
impressive
the
as
quiet
well.
environment. That was like
Yeah.
a bit eerie, but they knew what they were doing.
Yeah, exactly right. And I think like whenever you have an adult resus, it's loud.
Yeah.
There's so many people.
Yeah.
People are running around everywhere getting stuff. Like it's always a bit more chaotic. Whereas when I feel like it's in, even at a birth or in NICU, it's contained.
I think
it's not
too,
chaotic. We work together all the time.
Yeah.
We know what we're doing.
I think too, because like if there is an emergency, we have our own team. Like our own team is ready on standby, whereas for adults,
it's a med team.
Different people. You don't really know who you're going to get.
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. And so I just remember them being like so quiet and something. And I think even looking back, I remember who the main person there was. And I just thought that was just like the coolest thing ever.
That is.
But I still stuck with midwifery. So I still tried to get a midwifery grad year. But at that stage, there just wasn't enough.
A little bit though, something in the back of your mind thinking, oh.
I just always thought that was just like the coolest.
Yeah.
And then even taking the mum over to the NICU and like her, like, you know, actually going into the environment over there was like very cool as well.
I'm sure you had a good look around.
Oh, yes. Little
Sussing everything out.
Yeah.
Like, what's going on over here?
Yeah.
But yeah, I still tried to get into a midwifery grad year, and at that point I couldn't. So there was like 30 of us graduating that year, and there was only 12 spots. So there just wasn't enough for everybody. So I didn't get one. And as a student, I was working over in ortho with Meg. And then when I became an RN,
See, we all come together at some stage of our life before the NICU.
It's crazy.
And here we are
On the
Premipod.
And so I was just working in ortho as an RN, and then sometimes working over into the women's unit as a midwife as well.
Yeah.
Very occasionally, not very much at all. Just because I actually really enjoyed ortho. Again, it was just so busy. Like you were just constantly working.
Yeah.
But then one day I was looking after a family, like this old lady had like broken her femur.
Yeah.
And I was just in there like talking to the family, and the daughter of the lady who I was looking after was a NICU nurse, and I had no idea. She was a clinical nurse. I had no idea that that's who she was. I didn't know this family at all, and I was just taking care of her mum. And then she says,
obviously you were taking very good care of her mum.
I hope so. I like to think that she looks back and thinks I did a good job.
Well.
And so then we all just got to talking, and she's like, is this always something that you want to do as ortho, or do you want to go and work somewhere else? And so I said, well, I'm actually like a midwife as well. Like I want to do potentially something with that or with babies. And she was like, oh, well, I actually work in NICU.
Ooh.
I think you should apply for a job. There's a job going.
Well, clearly you were good at looking after her mum if she's offered you a job there.
And so she actually printed out the advertisement for me and brought it in the next day for me and was like, you need to apply.
That's so good.
That's amazing.
And I think it was just right place, right time because it was a permanent job.
Yeah.
It was in NICU straight away and I got it. And I have no idea how I got it because, you know, now
Probably
when people apply for permanent jobs, like it's always the temporaries or like people in special care applying.
Yes.
Or,
obviously,
so
like you did a good job in ortho that she's printed this for you and maybe she's even been like, this girl is good.
I think I just chat too much.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I hope she looks back and thinks I did a good job because I really tried to. Like, you know how it is. Like we always try.
Yeah.
Like we are always going above and beyond, like all three of us. Like we just love what we do.
Pride ourselves in the work that we do.
Yeah. And love the way our babies look and like how we present them and just like even our spaces, like they're always clean and everything.
Yeah.
And we really care about our patients.
Absolutely. Yeah. And so I think, and then, I applied, I got the job and
here we
started. Yeah. And then here we are. And so then this is my 6th year in NICU and it's just been from there. It's pretty crazy.
I actually remember when I first came down to NICU and you were there. So you would have only been there maybe not even a year before me. And I even remember where we were standing, like we were standing down towards the end of the toilets and I remember seeing you there. And you were teaching me everything. And I was like oh my God, how does this girl know all this stuff? Like you knew like what you were doing and why you were doing it. And I was just like, oh my God.
But now everybody that comes to you guys is like, oh my God, Dimitty and Meg know so much. They know what they're doing and why they're doing it.
Thank you, Kirsty Hilliard, for teaching us first.
Yes. That's all right.
But yeah.
Wow, that's amazing.
So what is your favourite part of NICU? What's your favourite thing to do?
I honestly really love looking after the sickest of sick kids.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think because like all of us do it so well and all of us care about how the family's interacting with them. We go above and beyond for them and like you use your brain a lot. And I think that's one of the reasons why I loved NICU was that one, it's the adrenaline rush when you go into bursts and everything. Like it's
as sad as it is.
It's sad.
Like, it's like you want to do something, you want to help, you want to give all that you can give to make sure that this baby's okay.
Yep. But then also like you just know that with you looking after them, the parents are going to get the best out of it. Yeah. Hopefully the baby gets better and, you know, like you
and like
pick
even
up
if the
on
baby
things.
is very sick.
Yeah.
Like I said before, the way the baby looks in the bed, the sheets, the little, if you've got like a little teddy bear, if you do footprints or if you do a little photo shoot for the baby, that changes the parents' like thoughts immediately. Like they know their baby's loved. They know their baby's cared for. They want to go home at night and actually sleep instead of staying by the bedside stressing.
Absolutely. Yeah. And even just like the first family photos and printing out photos for the room. I love doing that.
Yes.
I love printing out photos for the room. I think it just makes it so much more personal.
Yeah.
And it's like their space. And I love creating it so that's their space. So they have a bit more like ownership over it. Because I think that's one of the biggest things with families is they have no control over what happens in NICU. Like it's so
scary.
It's so dictated by doctors, nurses, like everybody else who comes in. Like it's always so regimented in NICU.
And this is their baby that's supposed to be at home with them.
Exactly.
Feeding, sleeping, cuddling, and like that's all taken away from them.
And
like I said, this
you
is
can only touch them every 6 hours.
Yeah.
They're on 3.4 mils hourly.
Yeah,
you know, like
half a mil.
Yeah.
Twice a day.
All of that autonomy as a parent is kind of stripped away from them.
Yes.
So it's just those little things that help them feel more involved.
Yeah. And getting them really involved in cares, I find.
Yeah.
Even when they're scared, I think, no, this is your baby. You need to come do it. Like you can't
Sometimes
hurt them.
I think they just need someone to be like, you're doing this and we're going to do it together.
And also, it's probably just something to have someone believe in them. Like, you can do this.
Yes.
You can do this. Even though your baby is small and this is
and
scary.
I know you're scared.
We know that you can do this.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And you're the best person to do this because you're their mum.
You're their mum or their dad.
Yeah.
No, absolutely.
That's so good. Yeah.
And I think that's really the reason why we wanted to do this podcast is because we are so passionate about NICU. We are so
Yeah.
passionate about families having a good experience in NICU.
Yeah.
We just want to share, educate, share people's stories, you know, like really help it not feel as scary.
And I think too, like in Australia, it's completely different to what it is in America.
Yeah.
There's nothing really out there to tell the world like what it's like.
stories.
Like, and there's so many
Yeah.
mums that have premature or sick babies, and they don't know where to go.
Exactly.
And like
Absolutely.
they can't relate to people overseas. So I think it's good that we're
Doing something
talking
like
about this.
I think so. It's so important.
Yes, it'll help them feel less alone.
And I
that's-
think, NICU is one of those places where unless you've had a baby in NICU, you don't know how it feels. It's not like having a baby in peds. It's completely different.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, and I think that it's not talked about enough.
Yes.
I think, you know, until someone says, oh, my kid's in NICU, like they're really unwell, people don't even bring it up.
Yeah.
And then as soon as you do, they're like, oh, my nephew was in NICU.
Exactly.
Oh, my cousins were in NICU.
Yes.
It's you don't
my
need to
siblings
think
were
much
29 weeks.
about it. Like
you know?
Meg, when she was a kid, she wouldn't have thought much about, oh, this baby has been sick or this baby was born early.
Yes.
She would have just thought, okay, this is normal to feed a baby like this.
Yes.
And that's really it until you grow up and you realize, oh,
That's
actually
not
that's
normal.
not.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
that's,
Yeah.
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 So yeah, I do love that we're talking about this and recognizing that these days and a NICU admission or special care admission is the worst day of these families'
And
lives.
it's a very
It is.
isolating experience. So we hope that we can bring a community together with this podcast and help somebody else with with some experiences.
yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Give some insight of
Yep.
what we're doing,
Yeah.
what we do
Absolutely.
every day.
Yeah.
We live, we breathe the NICU.
Yeah. We do. Yeah.
Give some support and insight one episode at a time.
Yeah.
That's so
How'd you
good.
practice my line? And you can't even get yours.
That's so good. Well,
yeah.
we might wrap it up there, guys.
Yeah.
I think this was a really good first podcast,
Yeah.
and we've actually got a lot of exciting things coming up for the
Yes, we
podcast.
sure do.
Yes. So make sure to tune in
Yep.
next one.
We've got a
Yes.
few doctors, nurse
Yeah.
practitioners,
Families.
families that all want to come on, and they're all just going to share something that they're passionate about,
Their
or
journey.
what their story
Yeah.
was.
I can't wait to get them on here and hear all of their stories
Yeah,
and learn a lot.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if you guys want to hear or read any more about myself, Kirsty or Dimitty, please go to www.thepremipod.com. We're going to have all of our personal stories up on there, as well as we'll be uploading photos and
Yep.
stories of the other people that we'll be getting on these podcasts. So
Yep.
yeah.
Make sure you follow us on TikTok,
Yep. And
Facebook,
like and subscribe. It really helps our channel.
Yes.
Instagram. What else? YouTube.
Yeah.
Yep.
And also, if you guys have any personal stories that you want to share
yes.
with us, you can email us at hello@thepremipod.com.
Excellent.
Gorgeous.
Yeah.
All right.
See you guys next
See you
week.
guys.
Or the week
Bye.
after.